In body or spirit, as we sing our gathering hymn, number 151, I Wish I Knew How.
Good morning. We are the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem, and yes, you are in the right place. I am Gloria Hollins, serving as your celebrant this morning. Reverend Rick Davis is out today, but if you're a little confused, Rick was originally scheduled to speak today, but he asked to postpone his message until next week, so we agreed to switch weeks. And you will be hearing a little later from our own homilist storyteller, Sara Pickett. I'm seeing many familiar faces today, and some I don't recognize. I'm taken back to the first time I came here some 16 years ago. It was for a memorial service, and I had never really heard of UU before. I was welcomed after the service, and I was invited to come back. I, like many of you, had been brought up in a church, but we didn't always agree on things. So maybe that's true with some of you. And it had been a 43-year absence since my since my participation in any kind of church. I felt immediately at home here. Please know that whatever your history, whatever your orientation or race or beliefs, you are welcome here. Please join us in the fellowship hall immediately after the service for refreshments and conversation. We want to get to know you. And now, please join together in saying our affirmation. Love is our doctrine. Compassion is our way. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration, build a community of caring fellowship, nurture the hopes, and serve the needs of our world. The following comes from Maureen Killoran. For every time we make a mistake and decide to start again, we light this chalice. For every time we are lonely and let someone be our friend, we light this chalice. For every time we are disappointed and we choose hope, we light this chalice. Each week, we light 3 chalices. The first is for this congregation, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem. The second chalice we light for our friends in our partner church in Szymanfalva, Transylvania, Romania. And we light our third chalice for our children and youth in our religious education program and for all the children of the world. Please join us as we sing the flame into light.
Hello? Excuse me, sorry. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sara, Molly's assistant/sister. But for everybody young and young at heart, could you please come join me in this beautiful area, please? Yeah. All right, thank you. Oh, sure. Either or works for me. Thank you, Sara. Okay, I read this book recently, and it is quite amazing. And what I love about it is there are 2 songs. One is about why they started it, and the back is someone wrote a song. You'll understand in a minute. Okay, it's called Because. Because a man named Ludwig wrote beautiful music, a man named Franz was inspired to create his own. Because many years later, people wanted to hear Franz's beautiful music, they formed an orchestra. Because a man had practiced since he was a kid, he was asked to join. Because a woman studied day and night, she too was asked to play. Because many others loved and practiced their instruments, there were enough musicians. Because someone created a poster about Franz's music, tickets were sold. Because the train conductor stopped the train at the ground concert hall, the orchestra conductor arrived. Because the orchestra librarian had copies of the score, the orchestra rehearsed. Because workers checked the lights and the seats and swept the floors, the grand hall was ready. Because the time had come, the ushers opened the doors. Because someone's uncle caught a cold, someone's aunt had an extra ticket for someone special. Because the usher helped the aunt and her special guest, they found their seats. Because everyone was there to hear beautiful music, it was quiet. In row C, seat 14, sat the girl with the uncle's ticket. She heard the beautiful music written by the man named Franz, and it changed her. The girl was changed. From that moment on, the girl learned everything she could about music because it fed her. Soon she started to write music too. Because, like Franz, the young woman had something to share. Over time, the woman became very good because she worked very hard. One night, her music was discovered because she was also very lucky. Then she was invited to perform her music at the ground concert hall because so many people wanted to hear it. Her composition was dedicated to the uncle in row C, seat 14, because it was his ticket that brought her here. And that night, someone else was changed. This is how it happens. And right here it says World Premiere, Symphony No. 1, The Cold. And so what I like about this is in the front is the song that she heard that got her inspired for music. And it actually has all the lyrics. Symphony No. 8 in B minor by Franz Schubert. And in the back is her symphony called The Cold. And it has, you can actually sing it and play it. Unfortunately, I do not have the talent to read music, but I thought that was just awesome. Well, thank you, Sarah. All right, so if everybody can get to, yes.
I just wanted to share that Reverend Rick's son, Zach Kuliboff, writes music and has it performed in concerts around the world.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Last week, his original piece that he composed was performed in Eugene, Oregon at the Holt Auditorium by Spring Symphony
Wow.
Orchestra last week.
That's phenomenal. Awesome. Woo! Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That's fantastic. I love it when people have their beautiful talents and share them. All right, so if everybody could join together and perform the Love Arch for us, please.
Compassion. There's a lot of loss and sorrow in the world, and sometimes it touches us personally. At those times, we tend to turn inwardly and feel we are the only ones who have experienced this. And it is true. We are the only ones who have experienced this particular loss in this particular fashion. At those times, it is right to give ourselves self-compassion and over time, be open to the compassion of others as we heal from this experience. Over time, we may feel new life growing in us, and as we rightly celebrate this new life, we may forget that loss can happen. Until we are reminded by someone else's loss that each loss is a new experience for that person. At such times, we may be thrown back to the memories of our own loss, but hopefully as well, we pause and show the compassion to the one who is suffering at the moment. And gratitude. Sometimes in life you have experiences where a whole group of people come together in love and fellowship and create something larger than themselves. Last Sunday was such an experience, where the observation of a 30-year relationship was celebrated through original song, sculpture, cloth, pictures, and kind, loving words from so many people. The connection and love shown through fellowship and sharing a meal afterwards cemented the gratitude this community has towards one another and why it has continued to survive and grow. So many people worked behind the scenes to create this event. The feeling of gratitude overflows. May we remember that what we can accomplish when we work together on the path of compassion and gratitude.
Good morning. I'm George Pitter. I'm your Lifelines lay minister this morning. The Lifelines lay ministry assists the minister in providing compassionate caring to members of our congregation. We also connect with those who are homebound, and we endeavor to provide a welcoming presence to visitors. We can be contacted on the website. The information is here, or by calling the office, or just by talking to any of us with a lavender badge. Lots to read this morning. I'll do the concerns first. From Jack Simmons, remember my nephew Tom, who lost his father, Duke LaFleur. From Leslie and Bob Zeigen, keep our friend Nathan in your thoughts as he is interviewing for a job far away. And I've got some joys and concerns. Our heartfelt thanks to all the volunteers who helped UUCS house and care for our wonderful families this past week. We want to thank all those who helped get the building back in order this morning. A joy and concern from Starla Nelson. I have both a joy and a concern. My joy is my mom celebrated her 99th birthday this past Wednesday. My concern is she entered into hospice care on Friday, 2 days later. And a joy and concern from Brenna Norval. My dad is moving into an assisted living place near us. He's still grieving the loss of his wife, but we are happy he'll be nearby. And I'd like to light one last candle for all the joys and sorrows that have gone unspoken but in our hearts today. And because my paperwork stuck together, I missed a joy and a concern. Entered by Mary Kennedy. Hi there, all. Lorraine Stewart was transferred to Providence Benedictine in Mount Angel. From there, she moved to Windsong in West Salem. She's had 3 trips to the emergency room throughout this time. And today, she will return to Windsong with hospice. We're trying to bring her back home. Much preparation needed, though. Don't give up on her. She's doing pretty well. Visitors welcome. Thanks for all the love and support. Thank you.
I didn't ask for help, yet someone heard my inward voice crying without a word. When the student is ready, a teacher will appear. Somehow it seems these teachers pop up everywhere. Their words were subtle pointed darts that caused me endless fits and starts. There was no hallelujah chorus, no heraldry of trumpets din, just a presence in my life every now and then. I never asked for help, yet somehow they saw my need and placed within my heart an ever-growing seed. They cut the bindings loose, freed me from my tethers, drifted slowly through my life without ruffling my feathers.
I was very excited when I heard about the process of becoming an occupational therapist. Not only was the focus on the welfare of the therapist as well as the client. But I was going to get to do 2 3-month internships. This was fabulous. Imagine one-on-one time with an experienced OT, sharing their knowledge, their wisdom, coaxing me along, nurturing my development, letting me know what I was doing right and what I could work on. After all these classes with PTs, prosthetics, and orthopedists, psychologists, fellow OTs, and dentists, I was looking forward to some quiet one-on-one time where I could really talk things through and ask questions, see how things really worked. I walked into my first internship, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and more wet behind the ears than I knew, and met my first clinical instructor, who, it turned out, didn't really want an intern. Thought everyone should come into the practice the same way they had, and it also turned out, unfortunately, was dealing with a chronic illness. It was not a good match, to put it mildly, and I was soon looking for a new internship. In the process of finding a new site, I had the opportunity to do some real thinking of what I wanted out of these internships, and I came up with what I knew was the perfect explanation. I wanted a mentor. Someone I could trust and who could be a role model for me. Someone who not only was a competent therapist, but someone who would want to talk about theory, who had a good life balance. Someone who could guide me as a person into this profession I was going into. So, with this new information in tow, I went forward, asking different places if they would take me as an intern, and using what I knew would be the winning phrase: I am looking for a mentor. Well, you may or may not be as surprised as I was to find that this was not the winning phrase. And it was much harder than I had imagined, finding someone who was willing to say, yes, I can do that. In fact, it was so hard, I finally gave up asking the question and just looked for the first place that would take me. Then, in searching for my second internship, I was pleasantly surprised to find someone who actually did say they could be my mentor. Those 3 months were magical. I was challenged, encouraged. We talked about everything under the sun. And I finally had my one-to-one time. Her name was Cheryl, and she still is one of the most intuitive occupational therapists I know. I am grateful for her gift of time with me, and even now, if I get stuck figuring out what a client needs, I think, what would Cheryl do? You know the phrase, what would Jesus do, or what would Buddha do? Isn't that like turning towards a mentor? Someone who has inspired you through their own lives to strive to be your better self? After Cheryl, I didn't really think much more about the concept of mentors. I had my job, I was a professional. What more did I need? I was supposed to be independent, right? It wasn't until a friend of mine became so excited about their boss and kept talking about them as a mentor that I started thinking, why don't I have someone like that? Do I need one? Why do they think they need one? Am I missing out on something? All I heard from them was mentor, mentor, mentor. They said this. They think that. They're encouraging me to do this. It got to the point where I started wondering, well, what is a mentor? And do we as adults continue to need mentors? When I think of a definition of a mentor, I think of someone who is more knowledgeable than I am in a particular subject, someone I can turn to for advice, suggestions, someone to coax, support, and encourage me. And yes, I realize I want their approval. That I'm doing a good job, the right thing. I've recently found out that approval is not what everyone wants from a mentor. And in fact, there are many definitions and types of mentors. Both in the academia and business world, there's the idea that one needs a mentor, especially to move up in the world. But what isn't clear is how best to accomplish this. Some feel that's a mystical, unpredictable, and uncontrollable relationship between senior and junior workers. One just randomly selects or is assigned one, and off the two go to have coffee and hope for the best. Some of the issues that have come up with this approach, for example, when looking at new faculty in a university, is that one randomly selected individual cannot meet all the needs of another randomly selected individual, often because those needs are too varied. Needs might include professional development, emotional support, the need for a sense of community, feedback on projects, having a role model, and sometimes simply a safe place to talk. Looking at what the needs are instead of looking for a person makes one realize that the needs will change throughout a career, and with it, potential connections with different mentors. In thinking of the idea of mentorship as a needs-based framework, how can this relate to spiritual or religious life and the individual search for truth and meaning that is so important and is one of the UU's 7 guiding principles? One thing that stands out is the idea that a mentor should be helping you for a finite period of time. Jesus' personal human ministry was short, lasted between 1 to 3 years, depending on your source. Yet his ideas, as portrayed by his disciples, influences a great many people even today. One example of him being a rabbi, a teacher, is in John chapter 8, verses 31 and 32. Jesus made sure that beyond truth taught, the disciples acquired the right attitude towards God and their ministries. The Lord Jesus knew that it was not enough for the disciples to learn ideas without embracing the best disposition found in their master. Jesus said, "If you hold," developing deep convictions, "to my teaching, you are really my disciples. Then you will know, experience, the truth, and the truth will set you free." It's not just getting knowledge from someone you admire. It is embodying the values of that knowledge through action that can make lifelong changes to one's values. If you look at Jesus and other great spiritual leaders throughout history, you will notice that they focused on some of the same skills or needs that folks in academia are talking about when we talk about mentorship. Things like feedback on projects, or in spiritual life, feedback on behavior, role modeling how best to live and treat others, identifying your personal values, and providing a safe place to simply talk. It's also easy, at least for me, to put an admired person up on a pedestal, or think that they always have to be near to feel their positive influence on my life. In fact, as Ram Dass and other spiritual leaders have said, "And because you feel love when you are with me, that opens you to the place in yourself which is love. Sometimes when you feel you want to cling to me because I am your love connection, but I am not clingable too. There is no way you can collect me. The only way to do it is to become it yourself. Otherwise, you are always going to be looking for connections. If you follow your heart, nothing will happen to you. You are protected. As long as your actions are based on your pure seeking for God, you are safe." To me, this is seen through involvement in a spiritual community, where one can feel the emotional support as well as recognizing the truth that is in you, and when you see it reflected in the other person. Along the lines of not always looking outside of yourself for guidance, John O'Donohue in Eternal Echoes states, There are no manuals for the construction of the individual you would like to become. You are the only one who can decide this and take up the lifetime of work that it demands. This is a wonderful privilege and such an exciting adventure. To grow into the person that your deepest longing desires is a great blessing. If you can find a creative harmony between your soul and your life, you will have found something precious. You may not be able to do much about the great problems of the world or change the situation you are in, but if you can awaken the eternal beauty and light of your soul, you will bring that light wherever you go. The gift of life is given to us for ourselves and also to bring peace, courage, and compassion to others. In the business world, this idea of John O'Donohue's could be thought of as professional development. Yet it goes deeper than that. It is spiritual development that will extend to all parts of your life. So do you need a mentor as an adult? Maybe, maybe not. But it can be nice, handy, keeps you humble, being willing to listen to others' ideas, take them into yourself and see if they work for you. I find it exciting to be in that beginner's mind, when I find myself open to new ideas and where I can continue to learn and grow as a person. Can you be a mentor and not know it? Definitely. I think we influence each other subtly, maybe not even being aware, possibly influencing others more than we know. I am uncomfortable for some reason thinking that my actions have influenced another person, but maybe I need to take responsibility that they can. How and if they influence depends on the recipient, and for that, I don't believe I can control. However, one time someone told me, don't discount the lesson they learned from your actions. And upon reflection, I had to admit that possibly someone did learn something from my actions, even if that was not my conscious intention. Can you think you're being a mentor when in fact you're not? Definitely. Although a person needs to be of an open mind to learn anything, so too can there be times when advice is given that is not wanted or even possibly needed. Recently, I was reminded of an incident I had with a dance college professor more than 30 years ago now. I had gone to interview them on an assignment for another class. I can't remember what. It might have been on the topic of getting advice. I'm not quite sure now. Anyway, they totally misunderstood the point of the interview and told me that they couldn't recommend me to teach after I graduated. I admit I hadn't thought about what I was going to do after graduation. Teaching dance wasn't necessarily high on my priorities. Sorry, Anna. And this particular professor wasn't someone I would go to ask for that type of recommendation. Yet, they felt the importance, for some reason, of telling this to me. I responded with the first thing that came to my head. That wasn't what I was going to ask you. They were as surprised by my reply as I was by their statement. I went on to ask the questions I was assigned to ask, and we went on with the interview. But their statement stuck with me. Why did they think they needed to tell me what they thought of my abilities? I don't know. But I have known others who have given unsolicited advice, and rarely is it taken up. I know I have at times been the one providing this advice, and though I acknowledge it is unsolicited, I also know how it feels to think that you have just what someone needs to hear. And it's so hard to stop yourself from saying it. The times I have stopped is when my mind has caught me with the 3 gates. Is it kind? Is it true? Is it necessary? The necessary part always catches me. I have to re-ask myself, is what I'm about to say truly necessary? Sometimes it is, and sometimes it may not be. Then the trick is to stop myself when I realize it isn't really necessary. That is hard sometimes. Since I asked the question of do I need a mentor when my friend was experiencing the joy of having this unique experience, the answer I would give now is yes. In recent years, I've had wonderful experiences with people who have stretched and supported me and who I would consider a mentor, even if just for a while. Certain spiritual books and authors have influenced me, so I consider them mentors. And when I think back on my own childhood, I am blessed to remember all sorts of older adults who took me under their wing and helped guide me along the way. I also realized I can't go looking for a mentor. They simply appear when I need them. I don't need to analyze why that is, just accept the gift. When a mentorship works, I wonder if it's because being a mentor or mentee can encourage the other one to be their best self for a moment in time and help in the search of truth and meaning in their lives. I would like to think so. It does seem to work well when both are able to learn and grow from the experience and appreciate the divine ability within each other. Much of what I've been talking about have been the many times deliberate relationships for a finite period of time with a specific focus occur, be it for spiritual growth, vocational development, creative skill building. Then, once in a while, a person come along who simply lives their life. I recently became aware of such a person. Let's call him Bill. Bill's job was relatively simple. Not necessarily a lot of skill needed and no moving up in the field. The kind of job that's the first one of many teenagers. I know I was one for 3 months, which is longer than my brother. But the kind where you move on to better and bigger things. But Bill stayed on this job, day in, day out, always there with a smile and a joke, playing loud, energetic music sometimes, doing a little dance move, or maybe having a new little wind-up toy to amuse those who engaged with him. Many people were too busy or too grumpy themselves to take the time to actually interact with him beyond the business that needed to be done. But it didn't bother him. He just kept going, being the kind, friendly person who wouldn't be rushed through, though was quick enough when he needed to be. You couldn't take advantage of him, but he could be generous to a fault and was always helpful to newcomers. He potentially interacted with over 1,000 people on a daily basis. Those interactions were short, probably 1 to 2 minutes, but the lessons he taught without even trying. How to be patient, kind, remember to smile and dance, slow down, trust others, and just enjoy life. Bill gave a great example of how to be a mentor. Live a good, caring life and help others. May we strive to do the same. Settle into your chair, close your eyes if you're comfortable, and take a deep breath in and out. And again, in and out. Now bring to mind someone who has helped you in your life, whether you would call them a mentor or not. Someone who has nurtured you along the way, prodded you when needed, wiped your tears and celebrated as you learned and grew as a person. This could be a person from your childhood, a relative, a teacher, a friend. It could also be someone you have never met, but heard and read about, and who's influenced your life even so. Bring that someone to your mind. See them smiling at you. Hear them tell you that you are doing a good job and that they love you. Smile back at them. Maybe take a little bow towards them and thank them. Thank them for their life, which has been an inspiration to you. Thank them and tell them you love them. Feel the warmth of connection between the two of you. Feel the connection and know that it will never go away.
Family Promise began operating in 1999 and has served thousands of families over the years. In 1 year alone, over 200 children have been successfully housed with a 98% success rate. Formerly called the Interfaith Hospitality Network, Family Promise offers housing and hope to people who are struggling to find permanent housing. Your contributions today will be donated to this Share the Plate recipient. And we so appreciate all of you who help build and strengthen our greater community. Remember, too, that UUCS gives generously in donations of cash and food to the Marion Polk Food Share. Our little red wagon is coming up here to the front, and will also be in the foyer after the service to receive your donations. And you're welcome to offer gifts of cash or checks and place them in the basket that will be passed today. If you're watching from home, please go to uusalem.org to learn about making an online donation. And thank you for your kind generosity.
Troubled water, I will lay
the brilliant words of Paul Simon. And thank you so much, choir, for sharing those with us. Thank you so much. Reverend Rick will return next Sunday to share some of the changes we are seeing in our Greater Unitarian Universalist Association. Excuse me. As members of this local congregation, it's important for us all to be informed of the happenings at the association level and understand how these changes might affect us. We hope you will join us next week. Every week, UUCS provides news of the community in several ways, and I personally find it easy to access the news, submit joys and concerns, and contribute a pledge, or contribute to Share the Plate, by going to uusalem.org, but there are several other ways too. Sara will now light our social justice candle. Each week, we light this lantern of hope to remind us of the many ways we as a congregation and as individuals make a difference in our community and in the greater world community. Thank you, Sara. The following comes from James Morrison. Within each of our hearts, there is a most glorious light. Go forth and let its spark help you understand what troubles both you and others. Go forth and let its light of reason be a guide in your decisions. Go forth and bring its ray of hope to those in need of help in both body and spirit, that they may find healing. Go forth and fan the flames of passion to help heal our world. Go forth and spread the warm glow of love, pushing back the darkness of the world. Go forth and share your glorious light with the world.
Please rise in body or spirit as we sing our closing hymn, number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
Please remain standing and join hands as we say our closing words. Thank you. May faith in the spirit of life, hope for the community of earth, and love for the sacred in one another be ours now and in all the days to come. Blessed be.